show. Oh, I just looked at something for the motor. I just looked at the show. Where'd you get the water? I think like a space is for the space music college. The C's are the C music college. The O is for the O in music college. The L is for the L in music college. The L in music college. The E is for the E in music college. The G is for the G in music college. And bring it home! The E is for the E in music college. Yay! Need some other girls to get involved in it, alright? Some other voices. Ingrid, this guy got the spelling wrong. I belong here. I belong here. Bro, delete that right now. I do think the chant would work better if it was like on the stage. Now it's going to take off. We got 28, like one L and like an A instead of an E. Alright guys, we're doing Pearson College again. Yes, Sarah?
Okay. Why did they get to be up there and we're back here?
Your attention, please. The ceremony will begin shortly. Please find your seats. Thank you.
President, Mr. Provost, Madam Secretary, deans, college heads, college deans, colleagues, friends, family, and most of all, members of the class of 2026. Welcome to this day and congratulations. I now call on the university chaplain.
With deep gratitude to the Quinnipiac people, the indigenous people on whose land we gather, please join me in a moment of prayer or reflection. Loving and divine spirit, called on by many names, creator and sustainer of life, we, your people of many beliefs, identities, abilities, tongues, and generations, come together today in jubilant celebration. We gather with profound gratitude for this moment, for our families, friends, teachers, and mentors, for those who have guided us when we were lost, nourished us when we were hungry, and pulled us back to our feet when we had fallen. Most merciful and compassionate God, we are living through a time of immense change and uncertainty, as countless generations have before us. Support us and ground us. Quiet our racing minds and deepen our breath. Remind us of our resilience and return us to our interconnected humanity. Sacred breath of the universe, watch over our graduates as they go forth into this broken and beautiful world. Help them see the humanity in the other and remind them to find the joyful amidst the heartache. May they always search for your light and your truth. May they be a blessing. May they move with a heart towards justice, with a mind of curiosity, with arms open with compassion, and with a soul of grace. And for this we say, Amen.
That which pervades earth, sky, and heaven, which is worthy of worship, that has no beginning. That which is the light of wisdom and truth. Let us meditate on the radiance of that divinity. May that brilliance help inspire and illuminate our minds. That one which represents water, light, and is a quintessence in all things. May that Almighty Spirit, pervading the earth, atmosphere, and heaven, bless us with enlightenment.
Of the ways of generating goodness in the world, none are worth a 16th of the heart's release through loving kindness. Just as the light of all the stars is not worth that of the moons. The moon's light far exceeds them as it shines. Just as the time after the rainy season ends The sky is clear and cloudless. The rising sun dispels darkness from the sky as it glows. Just as the night turns to dawn, the morning star radiates. Surpassing all these, the heart's release through loving kindness shines, glows, and radiates.
Send forth your light and your truth. They will lead me. They will bring me to your holy mountain, to your dwelling place, that I may come to the altar of God, God, my delight, my joy, that I may praise you with the harp, O God, my God.
You are the light of the world. A city built on a hill cannot be hid. No one, after lighting a lamp, puts it under the bushel basket, but on the lampstand. And it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your God in heaven.
God is the light of heaven and earth. Imagine his light as a niche. Within it, a lamp encased in glass, like a gleaming star, a lamp kindled from a hollowed olive tree found neither of the east nor of the west, whose oil seems to glow even though no fire has touched it. Light upon light. God guides whom he wills to his light. God makes parables for humanity, and God has knowledge of everything.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Those who hold truth as their sacred vow, contentment as their place of pilgrimage, spiritual wisdom and meditation as their cleansing bath, kindness as the divine they bow before, and forgiveness as the beads they pray with. These are the most excellent of people. Those whose very way of life is their act of worship, whose inner world is kept pure and uncluttered, whose conduct is the mark of nobility they carry, and whose soul is nourished by love. O Nanak, such people are rare and precious. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you to our students for the beautiful readings. On this occasion, Baccalaureate, it is customary for the president to deliver an address and for the dean of Yale College to offer a reading. Almost 4 years ago, I welcomed most of you to Yale at the first-year assembly in 2022. On that occasion, I spoke with you about the importance of expanding your horizons, and I shared a quotation from Tennyson's poem Ulysses. All experience is an arch wherethrough gleams that untraveled world whose margin fades forever and forever when I move. During the past 4 years, I know that you have expanded your horizons. At times, you have overcome obstacles, and you have thrived here at Yale. But even though the last 4 or more years have been a remarkable journey, I'm delighted to see you all set out on one that will be even more remarkable. And I've no doubt that you will thrive in the world beyond the college gates. So I've chosen a poem about a journey for today's reading. Constantine Cavafy, a modern Greek poet born in Alexandria, Egypt, often rewrote stories from the ancient world. In his poem Ithaca, he addresses a person setting out on a journey. Although the addressee is not named, it seems to be Homer's Odysseus, whom Tennyson called Ulysses, one of the most famous travelers in literature, who is setting out on a journey to his home on the Greek island of Ithaca. But as Cavafy addresses his traveler, I think each of you can imagine that he is speaking directly to you in this translation by Edmund Keeley. Ithaca. As you set out for Ithaca, hope your road is a long one, full of adventure, full of discovery. Laestrygonians, Cyclops, angry Poseidon, don't be afraid of them. You'll never find things like that on your way as long as you keep your thoughts raised high, as long as a rare excitement stirs your spirit and your body. Laestrygonians, Cyclops, wild Poseidon, you won't encounter them unless you bring them along inside your soul, unless your soul sets them up in front of you. Hope your road is a long one. May there be many summer mornings when, with what pleasure, what joy, you enter harbors you're seeing for the first time. May you stop at Phoenician trading stations to buy fine things, mother of pearl and coral, amber and ebony, sensual perfume of every kind, as many sensual perfumes as you can. And may you visit many Egyptian cities to learn and go on learning from their scholars. Keep Ithaca always in your mind. Arriving there is what you're destined for. But don't hurry the journey at all. Better if it lasts for years, so you're old by the time you reach the island, wealthy with all you've gained on the way, not expecting Ithaca to make you rich. Ithaca gave you the marvelous journey. Without her, you wouldn't have set out. She has nothing left to give you now. And if you find her poor, Ithaca won't have fooled you. Wise as you will have become, so full of experience, you'll have understood by then what these Ithacas mean. Graduates of the class of 2026, I wish you success and self-discovery on the journey ahead of you.
Graduates of the class of 2026, faculty and family members, colleagues and friends, welcome. This is a day that's poised between memory and possibility, between all that's brought you here and all that you'll bring to the world from here on out. It's the kind of day that comes around only a few times in our lives, which also makes it the kind of day that provokes what's called, in art historical terms, a collage of emotions. But there is one feeling that can transcend all these other feelings: gratitude. So let's begin this morning then with some mutual appreciation. Friends and families, will you rise and cheer for the class of 2026? And now, class of 2026, will you get up and applaud for the people who helped get you here? Graduates, this is a memorable day at the end of some very memorable years. Memorable because of you. You researched quantum error correction and bioinformatics and paleobotany and Mesoamerican pseudoglyphs. You staged A Midsummer Night's Dream and Fiddler on the Roof and Intimate Apparel by the extraordinary Len Nottage, alongside productions that you wrote yourself about Friedrich Nietzsche and a beauty salon. And to be clear, those are two different productions. You started businesses to create health technology and musical technology, and yes, technology to manage all our other technology. And you lost your voices cheering our football team on to victory in the game 4 years in a row. And if you're curious, the last graduates who could brag about that were in the class of 1908. I'm sure you can recall these events with precision because they're some of the defining events in your class's history, and they're the material with which you've already begun forming a community of memory. But I promise you this: the way you remember your college years and the way you remember yourselves and each other is going to change. Because you can't anticipate right now how both those glorious events that I've just enumerated and your perhaps more forgettable undertakings will assume new meaning in some future moment. How those memories might determine the decisions you'll make at all the unexpected junctures of your personal history and of world history. Some famous alumni have found surprising guidance in their memories. One took a mediocre essay he wrote for an economics class and turned its thesis into the largest express transportation company in the world. Another took what he had learned writing what he later deemed banal and imitative poetry for the Yale Literary Magazine and became the first American to win the Nobel Prize in Literature. Their memories of Yale launched them into accomplishments they couldn't have predicted at their own graduations. So graduates, this morning has brought you to the threshold of this question. How will you use your memories of Yale to shape the future? That's a lifelong question that will require lifelong answers. But for now, I can offer you a clue I recall from my own studies here. When I was a graduate student, I read a book that would become something of a load-bearing wall in my scholarship. It's called On Collective Memory. It was written by a French sociologist, Maurice Halbwachs, and he posited that memory is subjective, that your memories are formed by your relationships, and your relationships are formed by your memories. Your memories, like your emotions today, are a collage of bright and disparate, and sometimes even clashing recollections, glued together by your interactions with each other, and the stories you tell, and the stories you hear from each other. When you come together with your closest friends or your entire graduating class, these stories have a way of combining and overlapping and becoming your own. This act you're participating in is the work of collective memory. And it's this shared remembrance that binds you together as the class of 2026 and that binds you to Yale and connects you with all the graduates who have come before you. Tomorrow will be Yale's 325th commencement ceremony. "324 classes have preceded you. And like many of you, many of them spent their first night at Yale right here on Old Campus, got inducted into not very secret societies, and were serenaded regularly by the nation's finest a cappella singers. And though they may have lived in times that diverge from our own, their memories of Yale still converge with yours. And so, Professor Halbwachs would suggest that you can start to answer the question of your own memory by considering how your predecessors collaborated to answer that question themselves. And one such answer is sitting cross-legged behind you, our statue of Theodore Dwight Woolsey. This memorial to our 10th president is reaching an anniversary of its own this year. It was placed there on class day 130 years ago as a gift from alumni. And it exemplifies how, decades after students had graduated from Yale, they came to understand even more fully the meaning of their time here. Now, you probably know President Woolsey best for his famed shiny toe. Some of you have no doubt rubbed his foot for good luck as part of a ritual that you might have been told about on your very first tour of campus. It's based on a story about how, at regattas, he would kick the boat off the dock, which invariably led to victory. Now, it turns out that story is completely apocryphal, and it originated just in the last 30 years or so. But it's so fun, we keep repeating it. Before President Woolsey became one of our fondest symbols on Old Campus, he was an ordained minister, an authority on international law, an expounder of Aeschylus, and the leader of Yale for 25 years. Even while he served as president, he continued to teach political economy to seniors. After he died, his cousin, Timothy Dwight V, who was president of Yale at the time, memorialized President Woolsey with these words: "He lived as truly in the inmost lives of his pupils." So it was that after 7 years after Woolsey's death, his former students determined to preserve their memories of his imposing scholarship and abundant teaching with that statue. Because the direction of their postgraduate years confirmed what they already suspected. This professor had changed their lives. And so that statue materialized their shared gratitude. You've all had teachers here whose instruction has offered you fundamental knowledge, knowledge that's propelled you to discover your own ideals, ideals that you'll spend the rest of your life seeking. These teachers have helped you recognize yourself in the mirror of your future. But the monuments you'll build to them won't be as massive in bronze. Their monuments will be the possibilities that you'll fulfill, the possibilities that they first opened for you here. This is how your memories open the way for your future possibilities. But what exactly you'll accomplish remains beyond prediction. Your predecessors have learned this too about memory, that the past is always being revised by the future, and the future is a surprising editor. For example, one of the first graduations that President Woolsey presided over was the commencement ceremony for the class of 1850. He delivered an address that was 7,000 words long, which means he likely spoke for about an hour, which is an achievement I'm not attempting to challenge today. At the end of his speech, he pronounced his hope that, quote, "the graduates of coming years will acquit themselves as worthily as those of the past." Those graduates did acquit themselves worthily. But for all of President Woolsey's erudition, he couldn't have begun to predict what they would encounter in the coming decades. There would be a civil war, an industrial revolution, theories of evolution and of germs, unbelievable inventions we now take for granted like the light bulb and the telephone. The graduates of 1850 were more than just witnesses to this change. They were participants in it and helped to shape it. As lawyers, doctors, soldiers, ministers, poets, teachers, bankers, professors, farmers, and so much more. One of them became a president of a university. One became a founding member of the National Academy of Sciences. One became a congressman who was judged one of the most efficient members of the Ways and Means Committee. In the decades after their graduation, whenever they ran into each other or returned to campus for their reunions, they would tell each other the stories of their unexpected work and of their unforeseeable accomplishments, and how they remembered each other would change accordingly. Just as how you remember that one classmate who spent all of seminar scrolling rather than listening might change in a few decades when they win a Nobel Prize. Because the future is undetermined, the past is undetermined too. I don't mean that your memories from your time here aren't real, but your interpretation of them is going to fluctuate as you take all that you've learned here, all the knowledge that you've been given, and meet the inevitable but unpredictable change that will contour the future. Which brings us back to the fundamental question of how you will use your memories of Yale to shape the future. Here is my recommendation. Hold on to both the glorious and the forgettable, because you don't know what's going to happen. You can't right now know how some minor or grand story from Yale, how some concept you encountered in a class, how some remembered agreement or disagreement will influence the decisions you'll make and the work you'll do that will change your life and the lives of others. So it all deserves to be part of your class's shared collage of retrospection. It's all part of your total effort to remember together. And that commitment to remember together is what will continue to unite you. That commitment was fulfilled by the class of 1850, 27 years after their graduation, by compiling the biographies of their classmates into that antique form of social media called a book. This was their way of staying in relationship with one another. In entry after entry, these now middle-aged graduates asserted their gratitude for what one of them called the class tie. Also included in that book was a song they had sung together at their third reunion. And my hope for all of you can be summarized by its chorus. Years may other bonds dissever, distance oft prevail. Still my heart is turning ever to those good old times at Yale. Class of 2026, though the stories you tell will change, may your hearts turn ever toward each other in gratitude that you could spend these years together. And may your hearts turn ever toward humanity as you take what you've learned here and shape the future that will reshape the past. Congratulations, graduates.
May God bless you and keep you. May the Eternal show you favor and be gracious to you. May the Holy One cause light to shine upon you and grant you peace. And let us say, Amen.